What if I told you that the most memorable European vacation you will ever take isn't, 2 weeks long, but exactly 24 hours?
I mean, it sounds totally counterintuitive, right?
It really does. But today, we are doing a deep dive into the actual mathematics of the micro vacation.
Which is such a fascinating concept.
Right. Have you ever stared at a 24-hour layover on your itinerary and just wondered if you should, find a quiet corner, curl up on an airport chair, and wait it out? Or if you could somehow manage to leave the terminal and completely conquer a metropolis before your next flight boards?
People usually default to the airport nap.
Oh, for sure.
Because honestly, the logistics of leaving just feel insurmountable. The friction of navigating a new transit system, finding a decent meal, and getting back in time for security, well, it often outweighs the temptation of a new city waiting just outside those sliding glass doors.
It feels too risky.
Exactly. But the data tells a very different story if you know exactly where to go.
And that's what we're getting into today. We are diving into a really fascinating new report by the transportation platform Mozio. They analyzed and ranked the 10 best European cities for a 24-hour trip.
It's a great data set.
It really is. The mission for this deep dive is to unpack the art and science of squeezing maximum value out of a single day. We are exploring why certain urban layouts are mathematically built for tight turnarounds, and how you can use this blueprint to transform your next layover into a highly curated adventure.
And I think it's important to note, Mozio didn't just list popular tourist destinations here.
Right, it's not just a popularity contest.
No, not at all.
Oh.
They quantify the underlying mechanics of what makes a city function on a ticking clock. Because, the infrastructure required to support a 2-week leisurely holiday is entirely different from the infrastructure required to support a one-day sprint.
So true. Planning a 24-hour trip is kind of like speed dating for travel.
That is a perfect analogy.
You need instant chemistry and rapid-fire highlights, not a slow burn. So let's decode this formula before we even touch the specific cities.
Let's do it.
When Mozio built this ranking, they weighed some very specific factors. They looked at the number of activities available, the overall volume of restaurants, average temperature, and they used some London-specific elements as a baseline.
Right. Things like average flight times from Heathrow and average round-trip prices.
Which makes sense. I totally understand factoring in flight times, but why do metrics like restaurant counts and average temperatures carry so much weight when your boots are only on the ground for one day?
It comes down to margin of error.
Okay. Right away, looking at the weather seems almost trivial compared to, say, historical landmarks.
You'd think so, but on a 24-hour timeline, weather is no longer a minor detail. It is the ultimate risk factor.
Oh, interesting.
Think of it structurally. If you book a 14-day trip to a city and a massive rainstorm rolls in,
Yeah.
you simply pivot to a museum day.
Right, you just stay indoors.
Exactly. You wait it out, and the impact on your overall trip is pretty negligible. But if you only have one single day and the weather is miserable, 100% of your trip is compromised.
Wow, yeah. The math on that is brutal. A bad afternoon suddenly bankrupts half your vacation time.
That's exactly it. The temperature metric in this data is really a proxy for risk management. You need a baseline climate that won't force you into hiding.
That makes total sense. And does that same risk logic apply to the restaurant counts?
100%. That same principle of risk management applies to the restaurant density. In a typical vacation, getting lost down a winding side street trying to find a hidden, authentic cafe is, part of the romance.
Sure, it's an adventure.
But in a micro-vacation, getting lost is a disaster.
You just don't have the time.
Right. High density means you are never more than a few steps away from a great meal. The sheer volume removes the friction of having to search. You want a city that operates like a massive buffet layout rather than an exclusive a la carte menu where you have to, wait around for service.
Okay, so when you look for a place that eliminates that weather risk and maximizes that buffet-style density, one country completely breaks the curve in this report. Yes. Spain mathematically dominates the low-friction, high-density formula.
They really do. Spain claims 3 of the top 10 spots on the entire continent. You have Valencia coming in at number 6, Seville at number 10, and taking the undisputed crown as the #1 best European city for a 24-hour trip.
Barcelona. Looking at Barcelona's numbers, it's just a masterclass in varied infrastructure. The average temperature hovers around a highly cooperative 59.9 degrees.
Perfect walking weather.
Right. The average hotel sits at around $207.56 a night. And when we talk about that restaurant density, Barcelona boasts a staggering 10,448 restaurants.
That's massive.
Plus, you have the Mediterranean coast seamlessly integrated into the urban grid, meaning you have instant beach access.
And that's before you even factor in the unique cultural footprint. The report really highlights Antoni Gaudi's architecture as a major catalyst for short-term visitors. I mean, in one single day, you can navigate between a public park, a residential home, the Gaudi House Museum, and La Sagrada Familia.
Which is just the ultimate beautiful procrastination project.
It really is.
A massive 50-story basilica that has been under construction for almost 150 years and counting. But let me push back on this data for a second, because I'm putting myself in the shoes of that tired traveler getting off a long-haul flight. Over 10,000 restaurants, a 50-story basilica, museums, coastal beaches, sprawling parks. Isn't Barcelona almost too overwhelming for just 24 hours?
That's a fair point.
Like, doesn't that trigger massive decision paralysis when the clock is actively ticking?
That skepticism is super common, and it's a trap many travelers fall into when they look at large cities. But Barcelona wins this ranking not because you are supposed to see all of it.
Okay.
It wins because of the synergy of its offerings. The sheer volume actually creates a psychological safety net.
A safety net in what way? Like, how does that work?
Let's say you plan an intense, rigorous architectural tour. You land, you hit the streets, but by 2 p.m., the jet lag catches up with you, and you are just completely exhausted.
It's in there.
Right. In a less dense city, your itinerary basically shatters. You're stuck miles from your hotel with nothing else to do.
Oh, right.
But in Barcelona, the density allows you to pivot instantly. You abandon the architectural tour, walk 3 blocks, sit on the Mediterranean beach, and grab tapas from one of those 10,000 restaurants without breaking a sweat. It adapts to your fluctuating energy levels better than almost any other city.
Wow. So the density isn't a mandatory to-do list at all. It's just a guarantee that whatever mood you happen to be in, the city can instantly accommodate it.
Precisely. You have ultimate flexibility.
But volume isn't the only way to solve the 24-hour puzzle. If Barcelona uses sheer mass to guarantee a good time, the next 2 cities on Mozio's list use pure, ruthless logistical efficiency.
This is where we start to see how urban layout dictates success.
Exactly. Moving into the number 2 and number 3 spots, time becomes the ultimate currency. Let's look at Prague, which takes the number 2 spot.
Prague is fascinating.
The climate is cooler, averaging just under 50 degrees, specifically 49.64. It has a great restaurant scene with 4,858 options, and it's highly affordable, with hotels averaging just over $131 a night. But Prague's major advantage in this report is airport proximity.
Which is huge. The data says you can get from the airport to the historic Old Town streets in about half an hour.
That fundamentally alters the layover math.
It really does. Usually you land at a major European hub, and you are budgeting like an hour and a half just to get to the city limits on some convoluted bus or train system.
Which is a massive drain on your time currency, especially when you consider that many European low-cost carriers drop you at secondary airports that are located in entirely different municipalities.
Right. Spending 3 hours of your single day just in transit to and from the airport destroys the viability of the trip. But Prague's infrastructure feeds you directly into the historic center, giving you all those hours back.
Then you look at Brussels at number 3. It sits in the low 50s, around 51 degrees, offers over 2,000 restaurants, and hotels average roughly $166 a night. But Brussels doesn't win on airport transit. It wins on extreme walkability.
Yes. Brussels has heavily prioritized its central layout. They concentrate grand squares, historical museums, and famous Belgian chocolate shops, all within walking distance of each other.
Tactically speaking, it seems like a sprawling city center or a long train ride from the airport is basically a death sentence for a 24-hour itinerary. Are Prague and Brussels essentially proving that layout is more important than landmarks when you only have one day?
Without doubt. What both of these cities do is remove the mechanical friction of the urban environment.
The mechanical friction. I like that.
Yeah, in Prague, your time is saved on the initial commute.
Yeah.
In Brussels, your time is saved navigating between the attractions themselves. If you are constantly staring at a subway map on your phone, waiting for buses to arrive, or trying to figure out local taxi apps, you aren't experiencing the culture.
No, you're just managing logistics.
Exactly. Walkability keeps you immersed in the actual experience for the entire duration of your stay.
We keep talking about time as a currency, but when you look at the rest of this top 10 list, Actual literal currency becomes a massive dividing line. The data forces the traveler to make a distinct choice between budget efficiency and luxury density.
Let's break down the two extremes of this spectrum.
Yeah, let's do it.
For the highly budget-conscious traveler, you have Budapest coming in at number 4. It boasts the cheapest average hotel on the entire list at $115.16 a night.
That is incredibly cheap.
It really is, alongside solid infrastructure and temperatures in the low 50s. Similarly, Naples, Italy, at number 8, offers highly affordable hotels around $125.88 a night.
Compare those high-value options to the luxury extreme. Paris takes the number 7 spot. The average hotel in Paris is by far the most expensive on the board at roughly $230 a night.
$230.33.
But it boasts the absolute highest number of restaurants on the list. 11,020 restaurants. It beats out even Barcelona.
The culinary density embedded in Parisian street-level real estate is just unmatched.
But I have to throw some skepticism at the Paris price tag here.
Okay, go for it.
If I'm only in a city for 24 hours, I'm hitting the streets the second I arrive. I am not using the hotel spa. I'm not lounging in the room. The hotel is essentially just a very expensive shower and a locker for my bags. So, do I really want to drop $230 a night in Paris when I could do Budapest for half the price and actually spend that saved money on experiences out in the city?
That exact critical thinking is why Paris is polarizing for short trips. We're looking at two entirely different types of return on investment here.
Okay, unpack that.
Budapest and Naples offer phenomenal financial ROI for the budget-conscious learner. Because your fixed baseline costs are so low, your disposable income for those 24 hours is comparatively huge.
Right. $115 a night in Budapest gives you a lot of breathing room.
It does. You can splurge on an extravagant dinner or a private tour without guilt. But Paris offers experiential ROI. Yes, you are paying a massive premium for a bed you will barely use. But with over 11,000 restaurants, Paris guarantees that every single meal, quick snack, or espresso break during your narrow time window can be world-class.
So you're paying for the density.
Exactly. You are paying the premium to guarantee culinary excellence without having to search for it. You aren't just paying for the hotel room. You are paying the admission price for access to that specific cultural density.
That makes a lot of sense, just to weave in the rest of the board so you have the full picture. Lisbon lands at number 5, hovering around $150 a night with over 4,600 restaurants.
Lisbon is a great middle ground.
It is. We mentioned Valencia at number 6, around $154 a night with temperatures just over 63 degrees. Amsterdam is number 9, sitting at a pricier $203.55 a night, but offering over 4,000 restaurants.
And then there's Seville.
Yes, Seville at number 10, which is actually the warmest city on the list at nearly 66 degrees, with hotels around $156.
It's a remarkably diverse set of options depending on how you value your time and your money.
But, and this is crucial, all of these calculations, the hotel costs, the transit times, the restaurant density, they totally fall apart if you make one fatal physical mistake when you get off the plane.
Oh, absolutely.
The source material outlines some very strict rules for boots-on-the-ground survival during these sprints.
Knowing where to go is useless if you execute the logistics poorly. And the primary directive is packing light.
This is non-negotiable.
Lugging a massive suitcase through cobblestone streets or trying to squeeze it into a tiny cafe is a major hindrance. It's the fastest way to sabotage your own trip.
Rolling a massive 50-pound hard-shell suitcase over ancient European cobblestones sounds like basically a percussion instrument of doom.
It's so loud.
Yeah.
And exhausting.
Right. It completely destroys that flexibility we talked about. You cannot instantly pivot your plans from a museum tour to a beach day if you are driving a 50-pound anchor behind you.
Which is why doing your research and pre-planning is so heavily emphasized. While spontaneous wandering is great for a long vacation, a 24-hour trip demands the precision of a military operation.
So winging it is totally off the table for these trips.
Completely off the table. With a tight timeline, you must maximize your hours to avoid wasting time on things that turn out to be a bust instead of beautiful.
That is such a good way to put it. A bust instead of beautiful.
It's the psychology of the micro-trip. Pre-planning is the only way to guarantee those beautiful moments. If you spend an hour standing on a street corner trying to figure out opening hours or ticket requirements or exact transit routes, you have just wasted nearly 5% of your entire vacation.
Wow, yeah. You don't have enough meals left to make up for wandering into a tourist trap.
Exactly. The strict planning actually removes the psychological burden of choice, allowing you to be incredibly present and relaxed during the execution of the trip.
So to pull off the ultimate micro-vacation, you really need to rely on the underlying mathematics of the city. Spain is the ultimate 24-hour champion for density and weather, with places like Barcelona offering that incredible safety net.
Valencia and Seville, too.
Right. And logistics like Prague's airport proximity and Brussels' walkability will absolutely make or break your day.
Time is currency.
It is. You have to decide whether you want the budget flexibility of Budapest or the luxury density of Paris. And once you land, packing light and having a strict itinerary is totally non-negotiable.
The mechanics of this are just fascinating, but it raises a larger psychological question that I think is worth considering.
Oh, what's that?
We've talked so much about the intense pressure of this ticking clock, but does the artificial scarcity of a 24-hour timeline actually force you to have a better, more memorable vacation?
Oh, that's really interesting.
Right, like when you know you only have one single day, do you appreciate a city more vividly than if you had 2 weeks to just take it for granted?
You definitely aren't sleeping in until noon if the clock is ticking like that. You're forced to engage.
Exactly. Scarcity creates value in economics, and it clearly applies to our human experiences as well.
That is such a profound point to end on. So, to wrap this up, the next time you find yourself standing in an airport terminal, staring down a massive layover, remember the methodology.
Don't just settle for the quiet corner.
Exactly. Look at your next layover not as an inconvenience, but as an opportunity for a 24-hour adventure. Go conquer the city.